Hello there, fellow adventurers. This is Sorvesteon coming to you from Riders of Icarus, and I am standing in front of the Frost Keep, because in this taming guide, I'm going to show you how you can tame the heroic wolf, Phantom. So let's open up the bestiary, and let's see if it can give us any information on how we can tame this, well, okay, first off, the picture in the bestiary does not do Phantom justice at all. I mean, like, in the game, he looks so much more cool. He's all icy and kind of transparent. Nothing like what you see here in the picture in the bestiary. Alright, so we can find Phantom in Aisha's chamber. Aisha's chamber is the final room in the Frostkeep dungeon where you fight Rondo for the second time. And Phantom is one of the wolves that Rondo summons during that final boss fight. Now, the book doesn't really give a whole lot of information. I mean, it gives a lot of backstory, but all it really tells us is we need some of Aisha's possessions with the resonant energy, so kind of like Aisha's essence, and we can get that off of Rondo. So basically the bestiary kind of points us in the direction of where we can start looking. But it doesn't actually say anything about how we are going to tame Phantom. That comes mostly from the recipe. So the recipe is dropped by Rondo, and the recipe is going to basically tell you everything that you need in order to craft Aisha's will, and that's the item you need to tame Phantom. So the recipe can be farmed off of Rondo. He drops it when you run Frostkeep on heroic difficulty. Now, I would recommend running it on heroic 3 or higher. Heroic 5, of course, being the most difficult and having the best loot, has the best chances for the recipe to drop. On Heroic 3, it seems to be fairly rare. It's very uncommon, and, you know, with 5 people in a group, that means your chances, if it does drop, you know, there's going to be lots of competition for it. Now, running Heroic 5 is not that easy. I mean, you need decent gear, and you need experience with Frostkeep. So that can be rather difficult if you don't have a lot of experience or your gear's not very good. It's something you're definitely going to have to work up to before you're able to run Frostkeep Heroic 5. Fortunately, you don't have to. You can totally get this off the auction house, and you know what? That's probably the preferred method because it is just so cheap. Here, let me show you. So this is kind of a byproduct of having the recipe drop off of an instanced boss. And here, Aisha's will recipe. And let's of course go to the lowest price. Look at that, 90 silver. Because the recipe drops off of an instanced boss and people run Frostkeep a lot because they're trying to get the epic gear, there is just a ton of Aisha's will recipes on the auction house. In fact, there is just so many that it's just driven down the price to basically the point where Aisha's will recipe is worthless. So it is by far much easier to just go and buy this off the auction house than it is to try and farm Rondo on Heroic 5. Because, like, even if you do get it to drop on Heroic 5, you're probably only going to get 1 or 2, and other people are going to be rolling on it. And yeah, I mean, you're just going to have to run Heroic 5 so many times that it's not really worth it. Especially when you can get this for so cheap. So getting it off the auction house is my recommended method for obtaining the recipe. Let's go back to the recipe. So once you have the recipe, you're going to have to do quite a bit of shopping in order to get all the materials to craft Aisha's will. And I literally do mean shopping on the auction house. If, which is, well, it's the faster way, because farming all this stuff is, wow, it takes a long time. I mean, when I look at all the materials you need to craft Aisha's will, this is probably the longest material list I've ever seen for taming any familiar in Riders of Icarus. We need 5 Aisha's Tears, we need 5 Lashakas, we need 8 Fenrises. Both taming Lashaka and taming Fenris is, you know, its own thing for both of them. I've already done videos on how to tame Lashaka and how to tame Fenris because, you know, they have, like, it's involved. Taming Lashaka requires taming Rogatan and Logash, and Fenris needs a special item that only drops off of a certain kind of mini-boss. So they're not difficult, but it's grindy. And if you want to know how to tame Lashaka or how to tame Fenris, you can go check out the videos that I've already made on them. I'm not going to cover that here in this video because while it's not difficult, it is kind of involved, and it would just make this video too long. What makes this kind of grindy is the fact that you need 5 Lashakas and you need 8 Fenrises. I mean, I personally actually went and farmed all the Lashakas and Fenrises I needed for this video, and let me tell you, it took a while. I mean, and I needed a lot of elite seal stones too. So, I mean, farming it is by far cheaper than buying Fenrises and Lashakas off the auction house, but it's really time intensive. In addition to those, we need 80 familiar orbs and we need 55 elite taming potions. Each elite taming potion costs 60 silver. So to get 55 of them, I had to dish out 33 gold. So yeah, crafting Aisha's will is neither cheap nor quick. Now, like I said, you know, getting the Lashakas and the Fenrises and the elite taming potions and all this stuff is not difficult. It might take you some time, but it's not difficult. The only real difficult material to obtain in this entire shopping list are the Aisha's Tears. Getting the Aisha's Tears is not easy. As far as I know, they only drop off of the world raid bosses, and they come from a special quest that you can get from Frostkeep. Now, to start that special quest, you're going to need a special item. It's called a sealed book, and it drops off of Rondo in the heroic difficulties of Frostkeep. Now, the item itself is a little bit weird because you can't roll on it. It just randomly gets assigned to someone in your group when you loot the final chest. So you have no control over who gets this book. Your party members can neither roll on it nor forfeit on it. So your chances of getting it are just completely random if it drops. It only has a chance of dropping on the heroic difficulties. It's not a guarantee to drop. This makes getting the book a little bit difficult, and you might have to run heroic Frostkeep several times or more before you actually get the book, which will start kind of a quest chain to give you the quest that you can then start getting Aisha's Tears from. Once you do have the book, you can bring it to this guy, Kuzlo, who's just outside of the Frostkeep. And once you give it to him, he'll give you a quest called Strange Ember. This quest basically asks you to go back into Frostkeep and kill Rondo again to get something called a Withering Frost Ember. Once you bring the Withering Frost Ember to Kuzlo, he will give you another quest called Materials for Kuzlo. And it is that quest which gives you the Aisha's Tear as a reward. So I'm just going to go ahead and accept this, and I'm going to show you how to do it. This quest can only be done once a day. So once you've done this, you won't be able to get the quest again until everything resets. So as far as I know, the quest can be run on any difficulty of the dungeon. Here I'm just on Elite 2, and that just makes it easy to demonstrate how the quest works. So you can see all the mobs have the quest marker above their head, and they all drop the item. So I'm just gonna go and pull a bunch of these guys together, because they're relatively easy and they don't hurt at this difficulty. Yeah, let's ball these guys up some more. There we go. And so we got one frost ember and just some silver. So not all of the mobs in the dungeon have or will drop the frost embers. It seems like it's chance based. But because you can run this at any difficulty, you don't need a group to finish the quest. You can run it on your own. So, I mean, that is very nice. You know, if you don't have time to go run... There we go. If you don't have time to go run a full heroic frost keep, you can just pop in here on basically any difficulty and you can just do this quest on your own. And that is really, really convenient. Okay, so now that I've got my 8 frost embers, I can just go and turn this quest in. And now I have 5 Aisha's Tears. So you can see that that quest is no longer available. I will have to wait until the reset for that quest to become available again. So you are limited to doing it once every 24 hours. Or rather, once a day. If you don't want to wait, or you don't want to go and farm Aisha's Tears, or you can't get this quest, you can of course always go to the auction house, because the Aisha Tears are also available there. Alright, I love having this Wandering Rabini auctioneer, so convenient. Alright, so let's go and find Aisha's Tears on the auction house, and of course we want the lowest price possible. So they are going for around 15 gold, it seems. Yeah, around 15 to 18 gold. So you can definitely buy them if you want to. It is going to cost you a fair amount though. At 15 gold each, and you need 5 of them, that's going to be what, 75 gold? So it's relatively expensive to get the Aisha's Tears if you buy them off of the auction house. Farming them is definitely the cheaper route, but then again it's also the longer route because it's going to take you at least 5 days, assuming you have the quest, to get all the Aisha's Tears you need to craft Aisha's Will. Okay, so now that I've got all the materials I need to craft an Aisha's Will, I can finally free up some inventory space. Look at this. Look at all the Fenrirs, all the Lashakas. Oh my gosh, it's just... Isn't that horrible? There's so many materials go into making this. Alright, so just before I start that, there's one thing that I want to do, and that is I'm going to use a Triumphant Crafting Chance Booster, just to improve my odds of getting more than one. Because, you know, it took a long time to get all this stuff, right? So if I can improve my odds of getting more than one Aisha's Will, I'm going to do whatever I can to improve those odds. Alright, so there we go. And just hope, pray to the RNG gods that I get more than one. So here we go. And nope. Despite having my Triumphant Crafting chance increased by 10%, I still only got one Aisha's Will. But at least I freed up a lot of space in my inventory. Now, you don't have to craft Aisha's will. There are at least 4 different methods for obtaining Aisha's will. Actually, 5, I should say. The first way is to craft it, which I just showed you how to do. Or you can buy it straight off the auction house. And why don't I pop my auction broker back up and let's take a look at what kind of price these things are going for. Aisha's will. Those are the recipes. Let's go to familiar mark. Taming mark, there we go. So the Aisha's wills are not cheap. You know, as I've already mentioned, the recipe is very cheap and easy to get, but getting the materials is not, and you can see here that the price reflects that. You know, you can buy the mark to tame Phantom straight off the auction house, but it's going to cost you 200 gold minimum. And this is on the Baylas server. I don't know what the prices are like on the other servers, but if people are not farming these items as much, then I would assume that the Aisha's will on the other servers could be even more expensive. So that's the second way of obtaining an Aisha's will. You can also get Aisha's wills from Rondo. Yeah, not only does he drop the recipe, but he also drops the mark itself. And you can get Aisha's wills from some of the world raid bosses in Parna's Coast. I'm not sure if Jaranin also drops it in the Divinity Shore in the Hakanas Highlands. And there is one other way, and that is to get it through the daily rewards or some in-game event. See, coming up on day 14 is the heroic mark box. Now, it contains one random mark for taming a heroic familiar in either the Hakanas or Parna regions. So that means you do have a chance of getting the Aisha's will from the heroic mark box, just from the daily rewards. So those are the 5 ways that you can obtain an Aisha's will. Now that we have an Aisha's will, it's time to go and tame Phantom. Okay, so I've made it all the way to Aisha's chamber in Frost Keep on Heroic 1 by myself. I can do that because I'm a tank and I'm fairly decently geared. I've got over 2100 DPS and over 4300 physical defense. You know, most of my gear is, well, most of it is plus 10 or close to, and I've got a plus 15 Rondo sword, with the seal stones. So, because with that gear and with these stats, I can solo Heroic 1 by myself, and that's great because, it allows me to control what's going on, makes it easier for me to make a video. But even still, I had to use some 100% health recovery potions to get to this point and to survive some of the boss fights. So if you're not a tank and you're not decently geared, you'll probably need a friend to come help you run this, even on Heroic 1, because I doubt you'll be able to solo it on your own if you're like basically any other class than a tank. Alright, so now that I'm here, all I have to do is go in and fight Rondo, and he will summon the dogs once his health gets low enough, and then at that point, I'll be able to tame Phantom. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about taming Phantom. One is to do it in the middle of the fight. Now, that's the way I don't recommend doing it, and there's a couple reasons. One is when Rondo summons the dogs to support him, the tank has to take aggro of all the dogs and keep the dogs on him or her, while the DPS, takes the dogs down, and the healer needs to be keeping everyone alive. So at that point, especially on the harder difficulties like Heroic 5, that puts a lot of stress on the tank and on the healer and even on the DPS. So if you are, say, a DPS and you try and jump on Phantom, well, then your party is down a DPS, and that means the tank and the healer have to hold those dogs for longer. If you're a tank, well, I just don't see how it would work, because you need to keep all the dogs on you, otherwise they'll wipe your party. The same thing with a healer. I don't see how a healer could try and tame Phantom in the middle of the fight, because then the party would die because they would have no heals. With the DPS, it's possible, but I highly recommend taking down Frost and Mist first before you try and attempt to tame Phantom, because Frost and Mist just hit like trucks. Phantom actually isn't the one you really need to worry about. It's Frost and Mist that are going to wipe your party, along with Rondo. So, because of all that, I don't really recommend doing things that way. There is a much easier way to do it, and it's called the reset method. Basically, when Rondo summons the dogs, you can just run out of Aisha's chamber into Rondo's chamber to about, here. I'm going to show you. This is the method I'm going to use. And Rondo and the dogs will reset. And they'll go back into Aisha's chamber, and then you'll be able to pull the dogs individually. So that's the method I'm going to use, and that's the method I'm going to show you right now. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Alright, Rondo, here I come. Ugh. Thankfully, he doesn't hit very hard at this difficulty. I'll probably still need to use some... Oh, I hate that skill. That skill is so deadly. Even on Heroic 5, that skill has just killed so many DPS and tanks alike, especially if you get lag. But on Heroic 1, it's not too bad. He doesn't really hit that hard, which is nice. Come on. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Okay, well, we're getting pretty close. He should spawn the dogs fairly soon. He does it before he reaches half health, usually. Yeah, there we go. So there's the dogs, and oh, I got hit. Now I'm just going to basically run out, and I will pop a potion so they don't kill me. And at this point, see, the dogs have all reset. And hopefully Rondo will reset too. There we go. Okay, now they've all reset. So now, Rondo and the dogs have all reset, and I can deal with them individually. So all you need to do is hit them or pull them. Whatever suits your fancy. And now I can deal with Frost, without having to worry about the other dogs. Which is so much simpler. Perfect. And I can't see Mist. Mist is over there somewhere. There we go, there's Mist. Let's get rid of Mist as well. No need to have him up. Just makes things a little bit more complicated. These dogs also drop some legendary saddles, so there are some groups that just choose to continually reset the boss and just kill the dogs. Because they do drop the legendary familiar gear and stuff like that. Alright, so now it's just Rondo and Phantom, so I'm going to pull Phantom. And Phantom is a little bit glitchy. So I'm not going to fight him right in the corridor because he tends to reset quite a bit. I'm just going to fight him out here. And trust me, you really do want to... Okay, I gotta stop hitting him. Now I'm going to pop a taming potion. I'm going to increase my health. Yeah, he's doing... Yeah, we're going to get him down just a little bit more. Okay, that should be enough. And I'm going to go into taming points. Ooh, not enough taming points. Let's reset that. Alright. And now I'm on him. So you don't really have to worry too much about the boss at this point, because he will not aggro you even if you like run up right beside him while you're on Phantom. Oh no, please don't. We want to succeed. I don't want to have to go through the whole thing. Oh, there we go, perfect. And Phantom has been tamed. Okay, so just before I show you Phantom's stats and its skills, I wanted to show you what happens when you seal one up. Now, you will need a heroic seal stone to seal one. Now, I'm on the auction house looking at all the Phantoms that have been sealed at level 35. That's the maximum level for Phantom. And there's a little bit of a range. This one here, 230 health and plus 16 to all stats. That's on the lower end. Whereas if you go to the higher end, look at that, 237 health and plus 19 to all stats. So that is very impressive. I mean, I would just love to put all sealed Phantoms in my armor as a tank. This is the perfect sealed familiar for a tank, and if I could just put Phantoms in all my seal stone slots, I would be so fantastically happy. But you know, considering how much work it is to level up a Phantom to level 35 and how hard it is to craft the mark and to tame them, you can see that it's really, really, really expensive. So I'm hoping that, you know, in the future, Phantom won't be so expensive and it'll be a lot easier to get them so that we can put them in our armor. Alright, so let's have a look at Phantom's stats and skills. So it gets Mythic Resilience, so it's immune to all environmental effects. It gets Farlax Aura, which is a passive, which increases health and physical defense. These are not the maximum values. Mine's only at level 15, so these values will definitely go up. It gets Piercing Howl, which is another buff to critical rate. It's on the same cooldown as the one Agnes gets. So, you know, physical critical rate for 20 seconds on a 40-second cooldown. It gets its own attack, which decreases movement speed and deals damage over a short period of time. And I haven't got it yet, but once Phantom reaches level 20, you get a movement speed increase by 20%. And that is really crazy because Phantom already has a base movement speed of 7.3. And that is just like... that's really fast for a ground mount. And then to add on another 20% on top of that makes Phantom really, really fast. So I'm on my Phantom right here, and I can make my Phantom go even faster still because I do have the Mecha Phantom skin that was available in the shop. So I'm going to change that. Oh, I can't do it while I'm on top of Phantom. Okay, now let's change. Yes. And let's summon it again. Oh yeah, look at that. That is even cooler looking still. And now, yeah, look at that. My movement speed went up again. So once I get that, that feral speed, Phantom's going to be really, really fast. So, I mean, like, this is an amazing ground mount. Definitely, like, the ground mount to have right now in terms of, like, getting around. It's faster than everything else. In fact, I think it's faster than... yeah, it's going to be faster than Gearion. Because Gearion has stuff on right now. If we take this stuff off, Yeah. So it's gonna be even faster than Gearion, which came with the legendary Riders pack. So Phantom is very, very fast and very good for getting you from A to B very quickly. And that is how you tame Phantom in Parna's Coast. This has been Sorvesteon in Riders of Icarus. Don't forget to click like and subscribe to my channel for more taming guides. Until next time, fellow adventurers, take care and have fun.